Hello, I'm Adam Peterson, and I want to talk with you about the importance of kicking off your team and building a team and what that does in project work and how it kind of compares to coming to work and just being there every day. So, what's helpful is to kind of think about this as a performance curve. And this is just time, and this is performance. And if you think about coming into work, and especially a manufacturing operation or something like that, and you come in and you get work done, and the expectation is as you're there, things work pretty well the same every day. We have good efficient operations, and we make continuous improvements. And so the idea would be over time that things just continue to get better, and we make more parts, we make more pieces, we do it for less cost. And there's an expectation that weekly, quarterly, whatever that is, we see improvement. And so in this organization, it's normally a hierarchical organization, I like to do a little triangle sometimes to say, in this organization, we have procedures and policies and things work the way they work, and we know that's the right way. And we really aren't looking for a lot of creativity, because we want you to come into work and do it the same way every time and make small improvements that don't rock the boat too much. Now, project work is very different than this, because project work starts out and you have to build a team. You actually have to start out at a certain performing level, and you take people out of this organization, and initially it goes down. It goes down as you have to come together, discuss what you're doing, how are we going to do it, let's decide on maybe some of our roles, responsibilities, exactly who's going to do what. And so we get this drop at the start, and then at some point, hopefully, it turns around and starts to head back up. What I've seen is this really is driven well when there is some sort of deadline. And so having a deadline out here is pretty key and fairly immovable. Not just, end of the year, we should have this done by end of the year, but actually, this is needed. This is a problem we're trying to solve. And then we've put this team together to fix this or to find a solution, to launch a new product. Whatever that is, helps drive actually this inflection point where you see it turn, and then hopefully your performance picks up. And by the time you hit the deadline, you're really cranking. And so maybe you've seen this curve before, right? This is called form, storm, norm, and perform. And so that idea of initial forming and storming is really key. And once we get through the storming period of where people argue, should we do it this way? Should we do it that way? And really agree on this is our approach. This is how we're going to handle that risk. This is how we're going to roll out samples to customers, whatever we're arguing about, however that's going to work, we agree and get to some norm position of, okay, now we know how we're going to work as a team. Now we understand how we're moving forward in our project. And then the team can really crank and go through the perform stage. Now, this doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen exactly like this. Definitely without a deadline, I have seen teams stay on this downward trajectory long enough that management gets concerned because there is tension here. The further you get away from this line, this is called management tension. And the bad part is when management sometimes sees that happening, your performance is not good. They're used to seeing things just get better. And here you are arguing and you aren't making progress yet. Sometimes they think you need help. And they try to put more people on the team and switch people out of the team and say, well, if they're not getting it done, well, here, try this person, which just goes back to the forming stage and continues the storming. And, that's one scenario which it really delays this. The other one is we all like to play nice up here. Normally you come in, you don't rock the boat a whole lot. People might have their own little quirks of how they do things. And we don't like storming up here, right? We play nice together. And letting people argue, letting people have conflict, more maybe than what you're used to in the organization, the hierarchical organization, is required to really make the turn, And so as a project leader, especially if you're a part-time project leader and this isn't what you do all the time, I want to encourage you that when your team has a meeting where they seem to be fighting and arguing, as long as it's not personal, they're not insulting each other. But if they're really having it out, that's good. Go home, celebrate, right? Open up that special drink and beverage, stop at Starbucks on the way home, whatever it is, celebrate. Storming is required for you to norm and then get to perform. All right. And we have to go through that. There's no way to shortcut that, or you just don't make the change, or you don't take a big risk and you just track right here anyway. And it's very incremental, very small changes. Now, your role as the project leader in all of this changes depending where they are. So if I say you're the leader and you have an L, so you're the leader, you need to be the center of the team early on. You need to structure the team. You tell them when we're meeting, how long we're meeting. This is what we're doing in the first few meetings. It's very structured. Boom, boom, boom. And we can talk about what sort of things that is as we go through training and coaching about your specific project. But kicking off a team has some very basic steps. And you don't ask them, how to solve those problems because you're the project leader and you know that. So you're going to bring that to them and say, this is how I kick off my teams. Follow me. Now, when storming happens, you have to step out. So if this is the team, the leader now starts to step back a little bit, because the worst thing you can do is get in the middle of that. And so the team starts to argue and have conflict, and maybe you're a little uncomfortable with it, but they're having it out. And if you step in and pick a side, the team knows it. Everybody knows then that, oh, okay, we're doing this because Adam decided we were going to do this. It was Adam's decision, not the team decision. And you can't do that. Or you step in and say, hey guys, play nice and don't fight. Well, that's just putting you back up on this line. So you have to get involved sometimes. You might have to sit and meet with people outside of the regular team meeting and encourage them to listen to one another, or the quieter personality to speak up and stand their ground, because maybe they have good ideas and a louder person is pushing over them. But you let them work it out. The team needs to come to that, and it helps to remind them we have a deadline. We need to decide how to do this. We need to make a decision because we need to get things going to start heading towards that deadline. And that's why having that out there is important. Now, when you get to the norm and perform stage, now you're sitting here saying, okay, remember, there's management tension. Stakeholders are starting to get worried. This is where you are really almost outside the team. If they know what's going on, you can actually step out quite a bit and start dealing with this, because that's where you're really needed. The team has agreed what to do. They're figuring things out. Start spending time out with your stakeholders more and explaining the progress you've made, the decisions you've made to turn that corner. Perform. This is where it's kind of funny. You have the team and you're still kind of outside the team. And I know you're probably a team member. If you're a part-time project leader, you might be one of the people there, but you need to think, I'm doing this for the team and I'm doing this as a project leader. And that might be hard if you're the person leading the scale up or leading the implementation in manufacturing and you have a role to play at that part. Because at this part, you really need to sit there and say, you put a little wall around the team almost and say, no changes. You don't want scope changes out here. You don't want team member changes out here. You've got to keep that team together and on track with the plan, and hopefully there's no surprises of customers, have a major problem or things like that. But still, that team is a well-oiled machine, hopefully, at this point, and they're going to drive it to completion. So you are out there and you're batting down anything that's going to distract the team. So that's the role of the leader here. Now, again, hopefully that all comes in and they deliver on time and on budget and all those kind of things. The hard part is near the end of this, when they're really cranking, especially when they get past that deadline, the project's not always over, right? We have to document, we have to close some stuff out, and performance can really kind of drop off or level off pretty quickly. And this is the mourn phase, right? So they go through form, storm, norm, perform, and then mourn is, hey, we've been a great team and we got this work done, but it's time to close things out now and shut it down, hand off the project into operations or the process owners, whoever has that. And then the project leader needs to come back to the center and come back to the center and make sure it gets closed out. It's really easy to throw the party and congratulate everybody for hitting the deadline, and then it just kind of drifts away and never really gets done well. So this idea as a project leader, to start well and to finish well, you need to be at the center saying, here's how we close out projects. And sometimes you get the team back together and do a planning session like you did back here to say, okay, what are the tasks needed? What's the punch list? How are we going to close this out and finish this project really well? What do we need to do to button it up and feel good about that? And actually, while I might have a celebration around the deadline, I really like to say, hey, when we get the final couple reports written, come over to the house for a barbecue, or we're going to, send out little gifts to people if it's a global team, do something special to say thank you for buttoning up the project and closing it out well. Because that documentation is very important, especially in big organizations, because people are going to revisit this and say, why did that happen? And how did this happen? And this is where you do your lessons learned and document those kind of things for next time. And even if you're not going to be a project leader long-term or lead more projects, the people on the team benefit from doing those lessons learned. So all that's part of the mourn phase. So I hope this helps. I hope this helps you understand storming is very normal. Scope changes and team changes can just prolong this and make it really hard. And it's important as a leader to to be strong at the start and the finish, but really let your team own it. Let them own it and let them run things as much as they can, where you are out here batting down the issues that might be coming up with management. So thank you. I'm Adam Peterson. I look forward to working with you, and I hope this helps you out. Thank you.